This was a wonderful campsite. We had a great night, great sleep. Once we got to sleep, that is. This is clearly somebody else's camp spot, and we weren't welcome here. Between the two deer chasing each other all night, and that went on, I don't know.
They were chasing each other for an hour.
And then when I thought it kind of settled down, we got a squirrel that's trying to get into the tent. So I eventually had to get up in the dark and chase this squirrel away that was head poking in the side of the tent. Had to push him off the tent with a stick because he wasn't going anywhere. And no, I didn't hurt him, but I had to move him away or we would never have gotten any sleep. So clearly this campsite belongs to the wild. So we'll have a coffee and move on down the road, see whatever great place we can find again. Today we continued down the Idaho BDR, but we put some miles on today. Decided to skip a section, get a little bit closer down the road. The BDR is awesome, to be honest, but it's a lot of just driving down the bush, finding a camp spot. I think we're looking for a little bit more. So we drove into Montana and we are just inside the Idaho border. Actually, just up the treetops there is where Montana is, and we are positioned ourselves to be at the start of the Lolo Motorway. So we want to check that out tomorrow. Well, good morning. We had a bit of a hard time finding a camp last night, so we grabbed the first thing that we can find, and it turns out it was awesome. But it's a pretty busy area. Of course, being a Sunday morning, it's on the weekend. We have some neighbors across the way there. I think there's some neighbors down the way. I heard a car door once or twice. And we had about 3 people drive down the road, and the road is just over there. And you could tell by their conversations they were last minute trying to find a camp spot. They turned around, they looked, of course all these spots are occupied, and they turned around, went up the road, and I can hear where they parked. But hats off to the people in the area being so courteous. This is a busy spot for us. We're used to seeking out solitude as far away from the crowds as possible so that we get a nice peaceful night. We didn't hear a sound. We woke up at 9 o'clock this morning and we hadn't heard anybody yet. Very impressed. Is there some kind of an unwritten rule I'm not aware of? This has been good. But now the plan is to make coffee, make our way down the trail somewhere, find another gorgeous spot, and maybe make breakfast and try to complete this trail today and position ourselves to move on for tomorrow. Hey, Mount, go.
Wow, and he's still running.
We've taken a bunch of back roads on the BDR to get to the Lolo Motorway. Beautiful drive, meandering through the bush along the mountainside. Great to experience, but it doesn't make very good video, unfortunately.
Now that is straight down.
Pretty sure we stay north of it. To get up here, it's just a shelf road all the way along the mountain ridge. Pretty cool. The Lolo Motorway is pretty cool. You're riding along mountain tops, if you will, in a lot of we saw new forest fire and old burn areas. It's really interesting to see. But I have to admit, even though the sign says there's lots of camping opportunities, there is not. So we bailed out about halfway. I think the plan is we're done. We're moving on. And we had a real hard time finding a camp spot this go around. And this is what we ended up with. And I mean, literally, we're on the side of a road. But there's no traffic. It's an isolated road. We don't expect anybody to be here tonight. It'll be a nice, quiet night either way. What did you think of Lolo Motorway?
It was like a BC back roads, touring down Forestry Trunk Road kind of a thing, is what I thought it was. Lots of really nice scenery, but when you've seen the first 8 mountains and the scenery with it, it becomes repetitious. So, next.
What's next?
Heading towards Mount St. Helens.
How come?
Because I'd like to see what's been around there since the eruption in the 80s. Interesting.
And after that?
Maybe the beach at Osoyoos or Penticton or Kelowna or who knows. We'll see.
I'd like to check out Washington. Never been there. Never seen any of it. So I'd like to see that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, this in fact may be our worst camp spot of the trip. And to be honest, it's remote, it's quiet. We are on the side of a logging road, if you will, but it's a dead-end road. There'll be no traffic. There's been no traffic. We won't see anybody here. It's gonna be a nice, quiet night. So as far as bad camp spots go, this isn't bad at all. We have been skirting a new forest fire for a little while now on the Lolo Motorway, and we thought we were in the clear, but this morning, wouldn't you know it, as we woke up, the valley is filled with smoke, and it's so thick we can taste it. It's definitely time to find a highway and bail out of here. We're heading west this morning.